just leave.
It's your boy D.
I'm sorry. You're tuning in a homeroom with Smooth. Class is now in session.
Yo, what's up, y'all? What's good? What's good? You know what I'm saying? We got the man, the mystery, the legend, Zaid Tabani here. This is episode number 236 of the Homeroom with Smooth podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just trying to make it out alive here. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. I'm just very swamped with a lot of different things right now, but I'm happy to be here. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to be here weeks ago, and I've been all over the place. So I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate you taking some time for me.
No, man. It's all good. It's all good, man. Like, man, I stay busy, man. Like I wasn't even in the same zip code. Like I wasn't even in the same area like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I was in St. Yeah, I was in St. Louis, man.
Oh man, you're going all over the place. Where do you normally stay?
I live in California.
Oh, that's cool. That's sick, man. We're in Cali.
Murrieta.
Oh, okay. All right. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. I grew up in Orange County and I live in NoHo now. So,
Nice.
Just traffic. Just my life is just traffic.
Yeah.
Traffic and heat.
Yeah. One day that's going to be my life. One day I'm going to go ahead and make that step, move out there and be stuck.
Yeah, man. LA is expensive, but there are times look, LA has got a lot of issues and stuff like that, but there are a lot of really cool, like legitimately, like really nice things to do. Yeah. So I can't be that much of a hater. A lot of people are cynical here, but there's some cool stuff to do.
Oh yeah. And I mean, if those people were that cynical, they just leave.
You would think. But they don't.
Right.
They don't. Yeah. What do you think the traffic is so bad? They're still here. That's why.
Exactly. So man, I guess I'll start here. So how did you get started as an artist, like as far as rapping goes,
So I got into music and rapping. I kind of like really got into it because I was like, when I grew up, I grew up in Irvine.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't have a lot of friends. And like at the time, Will Smith was like a pop. You can tell by the white in my beard. Will Smith had like released a song and people liked it. And so I was like, what if I memorize this song? And I can say it by memory. And I did it. And then like all the kids were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And then I memorized another song by Will Smith and when he did Wild Wild West. And then I was like, oh my God, you got to memorize that song. And I was cool for a day again. And then I wasn't cool. And I was like, dude, I have to keep memorizing songs, but I'm going to run out of songs at some point. So I got to start writing songs.
Yeah.
And so 9-year-old me was writing like whatever songs about like, like favorite foods and all that kind of stuff. And then when I got into high school, 8 Mile had come out and me and my friends were like, oh man, like it would be really cool but before this. So like, I like that stuff in general. Right. And then like, as I grew up, like I kind of got exposed to more hip hop and everything like that. But around that time, like the Iraq war was happening and, it was this whole thing, like the culture war you're seeing now is kind of like a product of that, where it was like, hey, if you're not this, then you're not American. The big thing was like, if you criticize George Bush at the Iraq war, you actually believe you want the terrorists to win. You're not American. You want to kill America. And if you're an Arab American, that's twice as bad. So I'm like Muslim. And so I just saw all this Islamophobia, all these problems. I was just like super depressed and super scared, as well as being unpopular. And so I would listen to music and like, I remember people were just being really careful about what you could say because you don't want to stroke the culture war. And then Eminem came out with the Eminem show and was like, yo, fuck George Bush, fuck Tipper Gore. Like fucking, you're going to get shipped off to Iraq and they're going to kill you. Like all of this war is bullshit. I was like, you can say that on a song? And then he had this one song, like I listened to that album and I was just like, there were times where like I felt like really like, oh my God, like I'm not, hip hop just connected with me in a way that nothing else connected with me. And like I started to go into different like artists. I learned about Tupac, I learned about Nas, I learned about, Tretch by 90 by Nature. Like I learned about this whole education just came to me. And I was like, bro, like you can say all of this stuff that I can't say out loud. I want to do that forever. And so I got really into it. I started to do online battles when I got into high school. I really sucked because that was like the whole online battling thing where before you could share your picture, like don't share your picture online, all that shit. I did online battles, and then I won like 2 online battle tournaments, and then I fucking started to write music. I started to learn more about that. And then from that, like I'm sorry for my giant TED talk on my music. Pretty much from that point on, like, I did that in high school, and at the time Irvine was like, oh, rap isn't music. It's just kind of a fad or blah 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 blah. The only great music is Panic at the Disco and fucking Fallout. And I'm like, this is trash. So not that Panic at the Disco is trash, but like thinking that's the only music that matters is trash. So I got into college and I was like, okay, well, let me just try to do this. And I went to I broke up. I was with this girl at the time and I broke up with her. And I was like, dude, I'm really like sad. I want to drown my feelings in something. And I really like video games. I like competitive video games. And I like Street Fighter. Street Fighter was this really cool, competitive, complex video game. Street Fighter 4 had come out. So I went to this garage there. And that's where, like, if you don't know anything about like Street Fighter scene, like that's where like a lot of like the best players in the world played in Southern California at the time. And Twitch and everything like that was starting with that scene, like Justin.tv, they were getting big numbers and everything. And so I went to this garage where they were streaming and doing all that kind of stuff and started to play there, and I sucked, but then I started to get a little bit better. And then they played some of my music on the stream because it was like, oh, I'll rap about Street Fighter, fuck it. And that went viral. And then they asked me to do some stuff for EVO, and that went viral. And then I got to do a commercial for Capcom, and that went viral. And then I just started doing video game music for a few years. But then I wanted to talk about politics. I wanted to talk about other things, and I tried to transition. It was hard. Couldn't really do it. And then I wanted to go back to school. I was really depressed because I was getting a lot of hate online. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna apply to colleges. I'm so sorry for my giant movie right now.
Nah, you're all good, man.
Apply to colleges and try to get because I want to go back to school. And I applied for film school because I did film because I was like, oh, I'm not a musician. I'm not going to ever get a music career. And so did that. Did not get into any film schools I applied to. Applied to Chapman. USC was like, don't apply again. They literally sent you a letter like, hey, judging by your application, don't apply again. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know. It's fucked up. And my friend was applying to Berklee College of Music, which if you don't know Berklee College of Music, it's like where the music industry just pulls everybody from the music industry is like Berklee or Berklee adjacent. And it was at the time it was really hard to get in that school. It's like a 10% acceptance rate, 13% acceptance rate. I was like, why don't I just fucking try this? Like, what the fuck do I have to lose? And I went and I wrapped up my audition, and I was the second rapper in history to get in, and that shit changed my life. So it was just like I learned all about music. I got really invested. I was like, okay, I'm a musician. Like I matter. And getting out of Irvine, people weren't like, oh, this is a fad. They're like, oh, this is really cool. And these are like the people who play jazz and play classical music. All of them think this is dope. I got out of Berklee. Some stuff with my dad and his alcoholism. I had to take care of him for a little bit. And then, man, over the last few years, like, have really tried to knock around with music and figure things out. And that's brought me to where I am today, is like doing more music for EVO and stuff like that with the fighting game community. And then also getting featured on Phil's show and going viral. And that this last year has been a crazy upswing that has just caught me up to like all this shit, man. So yeah, it's been nuts.
Yeah. Cause so I went back on like your channel and stuff. And I realized that, you know what I'm saying, like before Phil's show, you were actually doing Freestyle the News already. And I'm like, do people know this guy was actually like spitting then? I was like,
dude.
I'm like, how was that process of first doing Freestyle the News? And then like, how did that like lead into you doing it on Phil's show?
So the first time I did it, okay, so like in fighting games, I came up with a guy named Maximilian, right? And like he's like the number one content creator.
Like Maximilian dude on
yes, yeah.
on
so we
YouTube.
were yeah, so we were kind of adjacent. Like Assist Me popped off, and my stuff went
where I
viral at the
see.
same time. Yeah, so like we were
Okay.
good. We were kind of like we were chatting and like we would talk a lot, and it was basically like I was like, man, like I'm getting a lot of hate from people, and he's like, yeah, this fucking bullshit, you know. Like we were just kind of trying to figure things out, and he would release content like all the time. Like he was just pumping shit out, and I would do something once a month, and he blew it up. He really committed to it and figured this shit out, and I was like super respectful, and I was like respectful of that process, and I thought to myself, I have to have something where I'm not just dropping a song like for no reason. And then another thing was like it was hard to like really get people to listen to like political stuff at the time. I don't know, it's a lot easier now, but like just stuff that I wanted to talk about was just tough. And I looked back and I was like, what would make me like, I always came up being like, I want to be the best rapper. Like I want to be the best rapper. And then it became, I want to be the most famous rapper. That's what a lot of people just wanted. And so I was like, what's like what are the rappers that break through that just change culture? And I would look at people who were like Eminem or Nas, or whenever somebody would release something and it felt like, oh my God, this seems like it's happening now. Like they're talking about shit that I can immediately understand that's happening now. And like, I was used to like rapping like subjects and stuff. And I'm like, maybe I should try doing this every week. I can talk about the news. I can have fun with it. It's not hard for me to write a news rap in like an hour. It's easy because I'm good at this shit. So started doing it. It was hard at first. Like, I mean, it was hard, dude. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, keeping up with the news every week was tough. Filming it was tough because you don't have enough time to memorize, and you have to also look at camera. And I didn't have enough money for like a teleprompter or any of that. I was getting like 200 views a video, which is super demoralizing. My channel at the time had a lot of fighting game players on it, so they don't want to hear shit about you unless you're doing fighting game stuff. So I do a fighting game video, 10K. If I do a freestyle news video, 100, and I'm like, fucking great. But like people loved it, and the watch time was high, so people were like, don't stop, and I would try to do it, and it just became exhausting with a 9-to-5 job and everything. And so it was hard. And I started watching Phil's show around that time because I was just like, well, what other news YouTubers are doing? I need to figure out what they're doing and how their thumbnails are and what they're kind of making happen. And I just started to get really into Phil's show because I was like, oh, this guy seems kind of cool, and became a fan from there. And I did that shit for 2 years. And after a while, I was just like and I just got exhausted, right? Because pandemic happened. I just got way more exhausted. And then so I think last year, I was broke at the beginning of the year, and then I lucked into a job at Apple Music. I was doing social media for Apple Music.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, okay, I know TikTok really well. I work for fucking Apple art. Yes, I'm doing it good. So let me and so I was like, let me try to actually focus on my shit for once. And so I did one song, and I figured out like how to frame it, and it did well. And I'm like, okay, so I understand how this formula works now. Let me try Freestyle the News one more time, and we'll see if it works. And maybe this is the avenue it goes, because it makes sense. It would work on TikTok. And so I did one. Within 5 minutes, Philip messaged me, and I'd never met him before. I was like, holy shit. This guy messaged me, and then he said, why don't we try it on my channel? It's really cool. I've listened to this like 5 times. I'm like, cool. We did. It did well. And I had a full-time job doing stuff for Philip. I quit my job at Apple, and that's wow, you got all of this.
Because I was like, because I was watching, because I used to watch him religiously, then I stopped, then I start watching him religiously again, and then I seen you that Sunday, and I was like, who's this dude? Who's this guy? I'm like, who's this guy? And I'm like, okay, he's rapping good. I'm like, okay, where do you get this beat from? Like, I'm like getting into like deep musicality stuff, and I'm like, what is going on here? And then I'm like, okay, well, is this a one-off? And then the next Sunday came, and then you were there again. And I think maybe that Sunday they put you in the front. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm like, let me go into like the link box and let me go find this guy. Like, so I went through the link box, I found you, and I'm like, yo, this dude is dope. And I'm like, okay, man. Well, I'm like, let me figure out if he's like what he's doing or whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna chill and I'm gonna watch him for a while. Let me figure out what he's doing and like where he's at. and like where his channel is and all that. And then once I figured out, okay, you're over here, you're on your own channel, like you're not part of Phil's channel. I was like, okay, I'm gonna chance it. I'm just gonna message this guy and see what the fuck happens.
Well, no, I was a part of Phil's channel for a while, and I think
Well,
like
I mean, yeah, but I'm saying like it was intimidating for me for like see
Right.
like 6 million subscribers. I have like a million like I felt intimidated to like ask to ask that
Right.
question. Yeah.
Oh, of course. And I think like, to be honest, man, it was intimidating being on that channel. It was a bunch of fun. Like I think like when I was on the main channel, it was really fun because it's a giant. I'll be very real. Like it like, and it's funny because I had so many crazy things happen last year, and I think a lot of like the things that I've learned is because I'm doing really well right now. Like the wave is still going. But like what was crazy was putting things in perspective a lot. And Phil taught me a lot of that too. A lot of it was his thing was just don't look at the numbers because the numbers are insane. Like when you're coming up, the numbers, people tell you that you can't think about the creativity. You have to look at the numbers like at a certain point to be serious. And when you start to, you're like, okay, I got to get these up. You have to figure out the metrics, right? And then being on his channel, of course, the numbers matter, but the numbers are crazy, dude. I went from 200 views to like 500 to 750,000 a week. That's fucking insane, you know? And I've had songs that have reached like 1 million, but like they're like people have made music videos of other stuff, or it was with EVO and stuff. So like all of a sudden, I have a fan base. And then also like when we transferred to my channel, it was 70,000 people in a day subscribed. That's insane, by the way. Like that's not normal for that rate to happen. Like when Phil proposed it to me, I was like, that's really scary, man. I don't know if that's going to work. If it doesn't, I'm fucked. And I was ready to just lose everything. And it didn't. I got a fan base and I have like a functioning career as a YouTuber now, which I didn't before. And I will always cape for Philip DeFranco. That guy is very sweet to me, was very sweet to me. You know, our channels are kind of separate now, like with like a lot of the resources that's happened. I'm still under his management company, which is great. His management company helps me out and they're getting me sponsors and he's still very helpful. The team over there still hits me up like, hey man, what do you need? Do you need help? Like it's all good. And like, yeah, man, like it's very intimidating to be with that giant of an audience very quickly. And you think to yourself, people bitch about imposter syndrome. What are you pussy? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Imposter? You're in the moment. Get over it. You got to work. But like, it's very scary when you're given something so fast. And you're like, this is everything I wanted. It happened too fast. And now you have to be on. And so when you're like, keep in mind, I would complain to people. I'm like, man, the show isn't doing as well this week. I'm wondering if Philip is mad at me. And it's like, how did the show do? It got 675,000 views. I'm like, motherfucker, I am eating ramen from a pot. What do you shut the fuck up? What is your job? And I'm like, I wrap the news. Go home. You leave. Because that's the thing, man. Like, you don't understand, like that's your brain just does that. Like, oh, you're not good enough. You don't have it together, blah, blah, blah. And honestly, man, like we're in a position where, like I'm in a position that's really, really very fortunate. And I can't ever forget that. And yeah, those numbers fuck with my head, man. It was crazy to be on that channel. I loved it. I loved it. I loved all the hate comments I get because if you don't know bro, you don't understand. People don't understand when you like, because I early when I was doing fighting game stuff and I would get hate comments, I was really scared. Now I understand because this is true. Like if you look at hate comments, usually in business, that's an indicator that something is so popular, it's reaching outside of like its intended audience. Yeah. So if that's what's happening, that's good. The 1 week I was really scared on Philip's channel is when it was all like, just like, oh, that's great every so often. And it was just silence is scarier than hate, man. I'll take somebody being like, why is this fuck you. I'll take that shit any day. Feed me. It sustains me. So, yeah.
Man, that's That's crazy, man. I'm trying. That's so crazy, man. But I do want to say to you though that I think that your early process and like what you did helped build your like your character into like being able to do this now.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, because
no doubt.
mhm.
Sorry, no, I don't mean to interrupt. Finish because I interrupt all the time, so I don't
Oh,
want to be a
yeah.
pain in the ass.
Well, all all I was gonna say is that I notice like all the time like a lot of people like even though like I'm not a big YouTuber at all like but I strive to be consistent. You know what I'm saying? And in doing so, when I talk to other people, I realize like I'm a bit like of an a-hole because I'm just like, well, you could have did a video today. Like it's like 5 minutes. Like, and you probably take 10 to 15 minutes to like prep yourself, and then you do the recording, which is maybe like 6, 7 minutes, and then you have a video and then you're done. Like that's it. That's it. Especially if you're just gonna go up here and talk about something or you have just one topic, you can formulate your thoughts and sum it up in 7 minutes and be done.
But that's not the actual time it takes to do something though, because you have to keep
Oh,
in mind,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, like it, in the perfect ideal world where everything works, that's what happens. But the reason movies take so long and all this kind of stuff takes so long is because people just generally have things that they're like trying to figure the fuck out. And
Mhm.
it's really hard to be on all the time. It's very
Oh,
hard.
yeah,
So
yeah.
like so if you're trying to make a video, like even I'll be very real. I have an episode due tomorrow. I have not started on the video. Like I got back from the gym. I have to go to San Diego tomorrow. I'm trying to get this shit done by noon tomorrow so I can post it. I can do that, but it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be tough.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The thing you have to know is that like you're making sacrifices and you're figuring things out. Um, like you have to have a little bit of grace for yourself. And like
Mhm.
I'll be real. I don't post a video like consistently. I lose subscribers. So I lost a couple weeks ago. I lost 100. Then I gained them back, and I got more. And then last week I lost 150 because my mom was sick and I couldn't do stuff. I'll get them back easily.
Yeah,
I'll get them back.
yeah.
But like just because of my channel, not easily. I have to work for it. But like you know, you can't give yourself shit because you're taking care of yourself, and that's something I'm really
Mm,
working hard to learn. It's
yeah.
something that is when you're grinding as an artist, it's very hard, and you believe in like I love doing this, so this is worth it. Yes, you love doing it, but it's not restful. You have to do stuff that's also restful for you, or you'll burn out.
That
You
is
know?
very true. That's very true. That's very true. I don't disagree with anything you said at all.
Yeah.
Um, I think to I guess to my previous point is that when I'm normally talking to people that are like, oh, I'm how do you start a YouTube channel? Like that's normally the question I get is like, how do you start a YouTube channel? And I'm just like, well, try just putting up videos first, like get a rhythm down because you're
Yeah.
not even in the place where you know what you're doing really.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to your point, what you said was like, if I had not done that 200 views, getting nothing, I wouldn't understand how to weather a storm and how to fucking deal with all of that. Like, I wouldn't have understood the grind that it takes, right? Because, like, because the segment ballooned when I got on Phil's, originally the segment was about a minute and a half per
Hmm.
rap. And then and then I tried a chorus. And then now, okay, I have to top that week. Now every song is a chorus. Now everything is this. Now everything is that. And it just ballooned to like these 3-minute segments. And it was exhausting. It was so hard.
Hmm.
And like, if I didn't know the mechanism of like, I'm not feeling it. How do I make this work? Because that's what happens when you become a master at shit. You can trick yourself into different things to make it work.
Mm.
Like you would burn out. You're done. Like you don't know how
Yeah.
to handle it. You also don't know how what's working and what isn't. Like right. And so I was very fortunate to get that when I knew what the craft was. And even then I still learned a lot about what it was as I got more, and I'm still learning, I'm still evolving and I'm still changing it, still figuring things out as I go along. The segment's going to evolve over the next like 5 or 6 years or however long I do it. I want to do it as long as I can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be something that is continuously evolving, continuously changing, continuously iterating.
Yeah. Because I look forward to it. Like as soon as I see, I'm like, okay, I'm like, yeah, he's finna come out with one. I'm like, this is gonna be good. I'm like, I'm finna hear about how Zuckerberg and Elon finna be fighting or whatever, or Threads versus Twitter and all that other stuff. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing. Like, I like how you're able to like segue between the topics or whatever. Like, however you figured out how to actually like get that part and then still keep your rhyme scheme or your cadence like still going, like that is like excellent penmanship. So I do want to compliment you that on that regard, because I'm like these two topics don't rub, but somehow in that bar in between, like you got something in there enough to like move that needle over. It's not like a hard kick over. Oh,
yeah.
Well, there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. It's here's the story of the week.
I think that was the hardest thing, figuring it out, because like I think I started doing it with like what's a most important story. So I would rate stories on 1 to 4, and like 4 is a headline story, 3 is okay, it's interesting, 2 is it was mentioned, and 1 don't fucking bother. But then I started to rate stories by headlines, political stories, entertainment stories, fun stories. And that way, like, because my thought is like, okay, I've rapped about politics for like 8 bars. Maybe some entertainment would be nice. Maybe something to bring some levity. And like a lot of times you'll get like, I think there's like an emotional context that goes on with the week with news cycle. The news cycle is always in an emotional context. Like, I mean, like this week, I think was, like a couple weeks ago, it was like, don't you fucking work for me. Like that's an emotional context. Like everybody is fucking failing at doing the basic bare minimum, even though they work for you. Institutions, all of them, they're fucking up, right? Sometimes the week is just crazy. Sometimes the week is inspiring. So like where the motherfucking wave at when the midterms happened, all of those things are like great big punch moments. And like it's great to kind of summarize the week in that kind of like fashion and that straightforwardness. So that's a thing that I feel I feel is a good way to go about it. And I think that's made it easier when I'm like giving the week a subject, as opposed to like I have to figure it the fuck out, It's been more, the more organized I am, the easier it is to do the segment.
Yeah, I feel that, man. So I guess the next question for you is like, what can people expect from you like going forward? Because I know you got the you're doing the Spotify playlist for EVO, correct?
I'm doing all the music for EVO.
Oh, all the music. Okay, excuse me.
No, it's all good. It's all so like I do all the music for EVO. And like it leaked that I was doing it again. So like I did it last year and it was a huge, big, great thing. This year we're doing it again. After this I got to hop off and talk to one of the producers. But like, yeah, I mean, like it is a lot of work to do with Freestyle the News. That's why it's been so hectic, but it's really rewarding, and I love doing it because most video game music is too like, I'm a gamer and I don't want that shit. I like music that's just dope. And the thing about the fighting game community and these communities are like, they're just a bunch of people who are normal people who just enjoy something, right? And they're very local, they're very sociable. So, getting like the feeling of like being around other people and just hanging out, and like where you're playing the games and it's like a party, and at the same time you're getting how they feel about the games, is something that's really beautiful. And I love EVO so much. It's been transformative in my life. I don't know if there's a point where I'm ever going to kind of leave it. But yeah, it's been something that I've been really like passionate about. So I do that. I have like 70 songs stocked away in a vault that I never released prior to being with Phil because I was like, man, nobody gives a shit about me. And now all these people give a shit about me. So like, I'm planning to release like a lot more music and everything like that. I think the biggest issue right now is because I'm working with different resources. We're trying to set up something where it's easier to do freestyle the news per week because I'm still like, there's some processes like me getting news stories and putting them up is like, it's just like, it's great, but it's like pretty easy to source that. I can get somebody else to just pull those. So like if I'm just doing the rap and like the video, like that makes it so much easier and I can focus more on music. Somebody's always asked me like my goal is to be just an impactful artist that like when I say things, they mean something and they help people. And truth be told, a lot of politics right now is a lot of people who like would get washed in a rap battle. So I'm not really fucking scared of it. But I want to make good music, man, because music connects people. Music is it's a very intrinsic part of culture. And I want to be able to have an impact the same impact music had on me when I was growing up, where it was like, I feel like I'm going to die every day because I'm Muslim. And now I feel like I'm supported. I want to have that impact because that changed culture. That gave people the ability to be like, yo, this is fucking bullshit. It started movements. It's been vocal. I want to be able to have that impact on the culture in a way that is conducive and helpful.
Yeah, man, and you're already on the way there, man. Like you sold me on one rap. Like I was like, okay, this guy can rap.
Dude.
Yeah, this guy can rap. Like I don't care what nobody says. The guy can rap. Like whether or not you he's your cup of tea, that's another thing. But you can't say the guy can't rap.
But that's all I wanted for a long time, man. Was like it was just so hard to get people to be like, you're good at this, and I was like, what the fuck am I gonna? How can I fucking prove? And after a while, I was just like, stop trying to prove it. And like, I can't tell you, man. Like, you even like hitting me up and being like, yo, can you be on a podcast? This is wild to me. And so I don't ever take this kind of shit for granted. And that's the other thing. I just don't ever want to take it for granted. Like, you know, I did a sponsor rap a couple weeks ago, and we're trying to get sponsors for the channel. And like they were like, what's the barometer for what you want? I'm like, well, one, I don't want to give people some whack shit. And two, I want to make it fun. I don't want you to fucking be in the sponsor read being like, oh, I gotta fucking sit through this shit for like 5 minutes. I want to be connected with my audience and have that be like, it's a vibe, you know, like, and it's, you know, we don't know each other that well, but it's, we're all on the same team. We're all connected. And like, it's just crazy because things happen in life where they don't happen the way you want them to. But this is shit that like I wished would happen this way, and it's happening this way. You know, like I really didn't like. There was a time, bro. Like last year, there was a point when I was working at Apple Music. I'm like, I don't know if the music thing's gonna work out, and like I didn't know, like, but I didn't really try. Did I try? Like, it was such a weird kind of thing. And like, I have no idea if I'm going to have another career downturn or upswing or what's going to happen, knock on wood. But I know that like things don't end the way you think they do. They just require more work. And if you believe in what you're doing and you put in work, it's not always going to be the best thing, but you're going to plant seeds, and one of those seeds is going to grow into an amazing tree, and you're going to have food for the rest of the year. Right. So I want to keep doing good work and, you know, talking with people like you. I want to be able to come on again when I have more time. I'm so sorry.
It's all good, man.
No, man. I just want to be as best of a person and give people value as much as possible. And at the same time, take care of my own fucking life because I'm so tired right now, you know?
Yeah, I feel it, man. Yeah, I seen you were double fisting. You had one drink and one drink. Yeah.
My brother and my sister have been giving me shit for drinking Red Bulls, so don't worry. I don't have like a shit ton of Red Bulls here, but I'll have one occasionally.
You know what? There's a better drink alternative that's natural.
Celsius.
I will give you that after we get off. I will send you a link to that on Amazon.
Please. Yeah, I want natural stuff. I want to be. The other thing is also like I used to be like super in shape, so I'm trying to go to the gym, and then like I'll wake up in the morning. I'm like, I have to work. I can't go to the gym right now. And then it'll be like the midday. I'm like, I haven't gone to the gym. I feel like shit, you know? So like, yeah. So it's like, it's me just trying to get my self-care together because career took off. Now self-care's got to take off again. So
yeah,
that's where I'm at.
True. Well, all right, man. Let people know where they can find you at, man. Let people know where they can find you at.
Of course, you can find me at youtube.com/@Zaid Tabani, ZAIDTABANI. I'm ZAID Team Music on every platform, Twitter, Threads. By the way, I'm trying to use less of Twitter these days because it sucks.
No threats.
Instagram. I'm Zed Team Music everywhere. You can find me on Spotify under Zaid Tabani. You see my name spelled there. And yeah, man, I'm gonna be releasing more music soon. I'm gonna be releasing all this freestyle the news we've had over the last like 17 weeks. I have to do that in the next few days. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure and a joy, dude. Thank you so much for having me on this thing, man. I'm super
much man. Thank you so much for coming on, though, man. Like I really appreciate it. I really
of course
appreciate
I will always if there's anything I can do, I'll always come on to help, man. And I see you working, I see you grinding, and yeah, man, anything I can do to help, man.
Man, I appreciate that, man. So y'all, this has been episode number 236 of the Homeroom with Smooth podcast. Y'all make sure y'all tap in with them. We out of here.